Yellow.
Oh, hello.
Hey, girlfriend.
Hi. Hello, boyfriend.
Oh,
Welcome to NPR.
what is this? This is okay, so H3 just started a podcast called H3 After Dark. So this is our Goose Chase After Dark.
I was going more with NPR.
That
Right,
is
it's
kind
that
of
soothing, husky voice. It's inoffensive. Mm-hmm. I don't want to scare anyone.
right. No one needs to
With
be alarmed.
an actual vocal tone of any kind.
It's so peaceful over there.
It
at
is.
NPR.
It's so peaceful at NPR. They almost never discuss things like poop
No,
and urine therapy.
I would not be that surprised if there's an NPR urine podcast now.
No, I'm sure they discuss stuff like that on air and off air.
Actually, I haven't
They
listened.
just do it like this.
I used to listen to NPR a lot because I was driving to work. Like an
Yes.
hour drive each way, you kind of have to have something to listen to.
And now you've given up driving entirely.
Now I just don't go anywhere.
We only hitchhike.
Wait,
It's
what?
safer.
Yeah, no, it's not because I'm not going places. I just, I prefer to hitchhike.
You've given it up.
Yep. Or like working out my thumb.
It's so weird.
Boom. I need a ride. Boom.
You can't see it, but he sure is using that thumb.
Do 100 reps of that a day just to keep my thumb strong.
You gotta do something for the shoulders now.
Oh my God. Yeah, I fucked up my shoulder trying to open my nice little coffee tumbler. I'm not. One of two fail points were the fault of this. Either it's that the metal has contracted around the plastic lid, or it's just grody and disgusting in there. But I don't think it's that because I had it off. I looked at it. It didn't look gross.
Yeah, I got no answers for you.
I haven't had a hard time opening like a lid in a long time, and I fear
Weird
that.
flex, but all right.
I'm saying you hand me a pickle jar, I'm on top of that. There's no problem. But this is concerning. This might be.
I can barely open a bottle of water, so.
It speaks of ill to come. It's like an omen. I don't like it.
I think you just gotta get a new tumbler.
Maybe.
I will say this about it. It's a screw-off lid, but there's very little amount of anything to grasp to screw it.
Right. Just got that tiny
It's
little
poor
plastic.
design to start.
Yeah, it's not great. It was a freebie anyway. It was like it's
Yeah,
PNC Bank branded.
I'm saying don't take it as too much of an omen.
I'll try. Speaking of, no, there's no good segue
Wait,
for that.
how did you get a free PNC mug? You don't even use PNC.
I know. It was at a company picnic. This is so funny. So we had a company picnic and there's like, oh, prizes you can win in the raffle. And then like we start looking around and it's like, all these are giveaways from the neighboring businesses.
It's really funny.
Like, and some of
Your
our
company
own
didn't
stuff.
even like shell out for anything.
No, actually, it was kind of hilarious because it's like one of the prize items is a company branded backpack. And it's like, why don't we get that? We used to get those for free.
Right.
Now,
I didn't even have to do a sack hop race to
Yeah.
win one.
I don't know if you know this, but at the end of that company picnic, there was like everyone had kind of won a prize and they were continuing to do. So they were like doing the thing of like, well, if you already got a prize, we'll draw someone else,
Yeah.
By the end of it, it was like
No one
just-
wanted things.
no one wanted. Everyone was
I
passing.
remember you bringing a bunch of shit home because
Oh, yeah.
other people didn't want it.
And actually, I felt like really silly because I'm just like, okay, yeah, I could use. Sure, I guess I could use that.
You're
I
too
don't know.
nice.
No one. Well, yeah, because I honestly felt bad. It was a little awkward.
Yeah.
Kind of felt like the kid who got socks for Christmas, and he's like, oh, cool.
Hey,
Yeah.
I love a good sock.
Well, kids don't.
If it's a pair, even better.
Yeah, especially if there's more than one of them.
I mean, I will take a single sock as long as it's new.
Do we want to do an in memoriam for Megabed?
Yeah, we can. I forgot all about talking about that.
I kind of feel like we should lay to rest a great American bed that.
In the arms of an angel. Keep talking.
Yeah. Megabed was a good bed. Megabed was not a conventional bed. Megabed defied expectations and rose above his status in order to provide maximum sleep and a wonderful night for all. Megabed is survived by our actual king bed, which is a real bed that sleeps like a real bed.
And doesn't hurt our backs.
Yeah. Mega bed was great. I don't even know if we talked about it on the podcast, but it was 2 queen beds.
I think we did a long time ago.
Laid up the long
long
dimension
sides
on the
matched
wall.
up.
Yeah. So it was just twice as big a bed. But we needed a proper bed because you can't lay sideways on a bed for years.
Turns out the springs go the direction they go for a reason.
They're engineered to a human body laying on it the way they expected it to be on it.
And if you don't, it hurts real bad after several years.
Yeah. So we finally bit the bullet and did the grown-up thing and got it really bought our first actual bed and bed frame.
Yes.
Which is pretty great and it's squishy.
It's memory foam.
Yeah.
It's got that nice, supportive, swallows you up kind of thing.
Squish.
It'll be better once we get the actual bed frame, because right now there's like 2 feet on either side we can't use because it's hanging off of... We can't do anything right.
I know.
We can't do anything right. Because right now there is an extra 2 feet of mattress hanging off either side.
Not 2 feet. No,
on my side, it's like almost 2 feet.
It should be, mathematically, it should be... what, like 6 inches of bed on either side?
Well, I give it extra because I'm afraid.
Yeah, so we have it on a king
I have
box spring.
history. I have history with jerry rigging beds.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
But in this case...
Beyond a mega bed?
Yes. We have... I have so much history. In this case, we have a queen box spring on our metal frame that's set to queen. Mm-hmm. And then it just sings Freddie Mercury to us.
Yeah, right.
And
our
then
queen box spring.
And then we have the king mattress on top of that, and so it hangs off the edges, and it's not good. But we got a new frame coming. We just don't know quite when it'll be here yet.
That's the problem with buying shit online is the mattress is going to be here like God knows how much earlier than the bed.
Yeah.
So you do what you got to do.
So my history. Do you want to hear some of the history?
Yes. Let's look at a remembrance of beds past.
This is not the first time I've slept on 2 beds pushed together.
Okay.
Let's start there.
It's not your first bed rodeo.
Bodeo.
Okay.
Brodeo?
Not brodeo. I don't like whatever a brodeo is. At all.
No one should. So at the time it was 2 queens, or no, not 2 queens, 2 twins. Because reasons, we were broke, and I think my significant other at the time, his family had a couple twin beds, and they're like, oh, you can have these, and we're like, well, that's not big enough, so we pushed them together. The problem with it was that one of them was like had one of those built-in mattress toppers, and one of them didn't. So there was a significant height difference. So there was a slant to the bed. We did put like a memory foam topper on both of them, but it was still slanted, and you would just kind of roll to one side. And one side was more comfy than the other. So we did that for a while, and then we moved. And when we moved, we were still pretty broke, but we're like, we want an actual mattress. So we ordered a memory foam mattress from IKEA, which is fine. But we didn't want to pay, because IKEA's mattresses are proprietary, the sizes. They want you to buy their frames.
You more or less have to. We're going to have a bed that fits the frame.
Right. We didn't want to do that because we were cheap. So we had one of those metal frames that adjust to the size of your bed. So we made it a king size because that's what the mattress was. And then we got slats from IKEA and put them on a metal frame, and they didn't quite fit. So they were like at odd angles. And then we put the memory foam mattress on top of slats on top of a metal frame. So it was way lower than it should have been.
Yeah, right.
And also hung off the sides. So you would occasionally be laying in bed, and if you got too close to the edge, you would just sink, and you'd technically be falling off the bed, but you were still on the mattress because the mattress would dip all the way to the floor with you.
Oh my God.
So we did that for a while.
That's not good.
I have history. This is a big step for me.
So that's that. I guess we got to do bed, an actual bed.
So far, so good.
Yeah.
Slept on it last night. Back doesn't hurt.
Yeah. I was sore, but I think it's just from sitting out in the cold at the drive-in last night. We went to see a triple feature. We made it through 2 movies.
Yeah.
Before
Aubrey's
olding out.
birthday.
Yeah, that was a super fun time. But we I don't even know. I keep saying it's like, oh, we're old, but it's not that it was late. It was that it was so.
It was cold. If it were late but not cold, we could have hung in. If it were cold but not late, we could have hung in. But the combination of the two is too much.
It's actually really funny because like I have not felt that tired in a really long time.
Yeah.
And we had gotten home and we're sitting there just like with the dogs for a minute, and it's just like I have nothing left right now.
Right.
This doesn't happen often.
And it feels bad if we are gone for several hours to just like immediately go to bed and not pay attention to the dogs, especially Leroy, because he doesn't sleep in the bedroom with us.
Right.
So I don't want to like leave him alone all night and then come home and leave him alone some more. So we had to spend some time.
I want to shout out your joke today of taking a picture of Leroy with a blanket over his head and referring to it as Revenge of the Sniff. That was pretty good.
Yeah. I took lots of pictures of him today because he was all cuddled up under blankets with me. I took a picture earlier, so he was completely concealed under the blanket, laying on my lap but under the blanket, but you could see his tail poking out at the end. So I took a picture of it and said, Leroy's been missing all day. I don't know where he could possibly be, with my hand like pointing towards his tail. Yeah. And my mom was like, I panicked at first. She thought I was serious.
That's funny.
And then I showed her the picture of under the blanket and what it actually looked like, which is him just laying completely on top of me.
Yeah, he gets very warm under there.
It's great. He's a little foot warmer, and I really appreciate that. So I have cold feet. But the drive-in was great. And we watched Halloween.
Right.
That was the first one, followed by The Thing, which is great. And we missed
it was Night of the Living Dead.
Night of the Living Dead, yes.
Yeah. So we made it through 2 out of 3. Honestly, watching 3 movies back to back.
I knew it would be a tough sell.
It's a little harder than I thought it would be.
The thing is, if Birthday Girl had wanted to hang, I would have had no choice but to try to hang.
Be like, no, yes, I'm in for this. But it was already
she was
like 12
also
o'clock.
too cold. And she had never seen The Thing before, and she stayed for all of it, but she said she wants to rewatch it anyway because she couldn't focus on it.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
That movie is like, its effects are such a big part of it, and they're so cool and inventive and creepy.
It's kind of hard to see it on a drive-in screen well enough to appreciate it.
Yeah, I just think you almost need to see that one now on like the best TV and cut of the movie that you can watch, the highest definition, because some of those shots are, a lot of it happens in kind of darkness. You know, there's a shot like in the dog kennel kind of like early on in the movie that is in real darkness, and there's just lots of stuff to see. I don't want to spoil a 30-year-old movie.
Right.
But
I will say, if anyone hasn't seen it and they're thinking about it, I will warn you, there's lots of body horror.
Yeah, right. Oh, yes.
It's not like a typical scary movie, but it's like psychological horror and body horror.
Great sound design, too.
Really good sound. Oh, my God. When we were watching Halloween, all the stings, like whenever there's something scary happening, ding!
Yeah, right.
It was making us laugh so hard.
So the very first one in the movie is when I think it's not Laurie. It's another character has gone upstairs to her bedroom.
Oh no, the very first one is
It is from
a light turns on.
A light turns off.
Oh, okay.
And the noise goes da-da, and it's like, oh my God, the light went off.
I laughed so hard, and I told you that I insist that we need to rig the house that anytime I turn the light off, we hear that sting.
Well, I will have you know the smart home of today can easily be wired to make that noise every time you turn a light off in your house.
Well, let's tell Google my every move even more. Let's do it.
So that was fun though. We had a good time. It's Spooptober.
It's Spooptober.
Let's just address that right up front.
And in the theme of spoopiness, is today a spoopy episode?
I think today's pretty spoopy.
Well, I know next episode
Yeah.
is really spoopy. Probably the scariest thing we've ever talked about.
I think so.
We've talked about some real creepy stuff.
It's going to be, spooptastic.
Spooptastic. So be prepared for some spoops.
Yeah.
Definitely for some dupes.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
We're excited for that. But I'm also excited for today's episode.
Mm-hmm. October is a good month.
Yeah, I like October.
It doesn't feel like any other season, obviously. There's something just kind of, I don't know.
It's chilly, but it's not too cold yet.
Yeah.
You can still enjoy like some fires outside and doing stuff outside a little bit. I will say last night, Aubrey got hot chocolate for everyone who wanted one.
Lifesaver.
And it made the first half of the thing bearable because I just like was wrapped in a blanket holding hot chocolate. And I was like, this is amazing.
My hands had begun to kind of hurt a little bit from the cold.
Well, you refused to let me share a blanket with you.
Yeah, but if we had shared a blanket, both of us would have been chilly. Because you're opening the blanket to the elements when you spread it across chairs.
For future reference,
yeah,
I would rather both of us be a little bit chilly than one of us be completely frozen.
I wasn't completely frozen. I was just starting to feel it in my hands.
Just saying.
By the end of the movie,
warm you.
Yeah, I know. I get it. I guess. By the end of the movie, I was really like, okay, this is enough cold for me. Thank you.
Yes.
But anyway, kind of feel like we've done enough preamble here.
Yeah, bye.
So, I don't know. What should we do next? We could jump right into the topic. Honestly,
could do that. It's always a possibility.
Chomping at the bit.
You know what? Let's do that.
Okay, we'll be right back.
All right. No, we got ya. Of course, we're gonna play a game.
Okay, well that's cool because we never do that.
It's something new and fresh.
Mm-hmm. You gotta find ways to keep the podcast fresh.
Yes,
and that's why now, apropos of nothing, we will play a game
called Spice of Podcast.
Spice.
I learned about it from an MLM.
Spice of Podcast.
Do you remember Spice of Life?
I think I do. I mean, I never witnessed any of these things.
It was strictly talked about in whispered tones only amongst women.
Yeah, it was a lady thing, right?
Spice of Life parties. It was kind of like Tupperware parties, but instead of things to put your food in and keep in the fridge, it was
stuff to put in your body.
Stuff to put in you
right.
and keep things spicy.
Yeah,
in the bedroom.
It's interesting. No, I know why. Because it's fun and cute when ladies do it. When guys do it, it's like scuzzy as hell. You just can't have a bunch of men in the room be like, yeah, this seems like this should be fun. All right, yeah.
Also,
give me two.
Also, a long time ago, people figured out that if you really want something to sell, find a way to market it to women.
Oh, yeah.
Because a lot of times, like, traditionally, maybe not so much now, but like if there are purse strings, the man is bringing home the bacon, but the woman is doing all the emotional mental labor of figuring out what bills to pay and the money going out and the money coming in. And
traditionally speaking, anyway.
Yeah. So if you want to sell something and you're an MLM, market it to ladies.
God, MLMs have to be doing so well right now, which is such a bummer. Like they have to be, right?
There's a few that I've been seeing a lot of. There's always nail polish ones. Yeah. But this one in particular is like it's nail polish, but it's pre-painted and you peel it off a little thing and you put it directly on your fingernails.
What?
And they have like cute designs and stuff. It's actually kind of cool. I would maybe be intrigued by it if it weren't for the fact that like no nail polish lasts on my nails more than a day and a half.
I feel like anyone who's ever tried to put a screen protector on their phone knows how fucking infuriating this could be.
Yeah. But it seems to work fairly well. I've had a lot of friends that are using them, but
yeah,
definitely an MLM. I've been seeing a lot of that one.
Be your own boss.
Yep.
Run your own company. That's someone else's company. That's the promise.
Mm-hmm. Anyway. We got distracted by what we're actually doing, which is playing Trues and Fnews.
Holy shit, no way. You mean to tell me why you wouldn't happen to mean
it's time for Trues and Fnews.
Time to play truth and flip. Time to play truth and flip. Everyone's playing our famous game. The game that's taken the internet by storm.
It's time for Truth and Flip.
A Merv Griffin production.
Well, okay. I'll bite. What is it?
Truths and Fnews is a game of fun little game, an internet game that is sweeping the nation, in which I will tell you news stories. I forget how many of which are which. There are 2 false ones, or fnews, 1 true one, truths. You gotta tell me what is what.
I'm gonna give you a mulligan if you want it.
No, I'm accepting my flub. Not doing it again.
All right.
I always panic during that part. And
Flubs and dubs.
flubs and dubs. Are you ready? Let's just get it.
Let's do
Fucking
it.
into it.
I am ready.
I'm acting like I've had caffeine, but I haven't.
No.
Number 1.
Ooh.
Number 1. Woman caught husband cheating by disguising herself as love seat and waiting in darkened living room. We're starting strong.
There's some Danny DeVito on It's Always Sunny vibes in this one.
All right.
right.
Number 2. COVID hobbies. Rhode Island woman trains 4 cats as circus act, puts on show on Facebook Live.
Oh, that feels very real to me. Okay.
Number 3. All of these are making me laugh today. I'm usually good at holding it together.
Okay.
Robber applies poop on his body to evade police capture.
Applies poop. Like it's a layer
nail
of varnish
polish.
or something. Yeah. It's really, I kind of think applies should be reserved for like, something that isn't just smearing your own feces on yourself. Oh, it didn't say it was his.
It didn't.
It could be anyone's poop.
It could be anyone or anything's poop.
It could be an animal poop. Wow. That really kind of opens the door up. Okay, let's hear him again.
Recap. Woman caught husband cheating by disguising herself as love seat and waiting in darkened living room.
That's so funny to me.
Number
God,
2.
please let that be the truth.
Number 2. COVID hobbies. Rhode Island woman trains 4 cats as circus act, puts on show on Facebook Live.
Okay.
Number 3. Robber applies poop on his body to evade police capture.
Applies poop on his body.
It applies the poop on its skin,
I think it's really funny.
or else it goes to jail again.
That's good. That's really funny. Wait, no, okay. Well, see, because I love like all of this. I love that they said apply, like they said poop, but they gave it kind of like a euphemistic verb.
Yes.
To apply is a little bit of it's kind of
I feel
disguising
like
the
rub
disgustingness.
or smear would be more descriptive and accurate.
Right. It's almost like they kind of cut back with the verb choice.
Right. They could have made like some kind of watered down poop lacquer and dipped themselves in it. We don't
Right.
know how they applied it.
We don't. He could have. Yeah, right. He could have made like a nice watercolor with it, and
Yes.
just kind of hennaed his body with poop.
Could have made a poop henna.
It's more likely or as likely that he just picked up a dog turd on the run.
Turd on the run.
Ding, 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 ding.
So what are you thinking?
I don't know. The image of a woman standing up as a couch going, "Ha ha!" Like, this is so funny to me. They're just like the couch stands up with its arms hanging off to the sides.
I knew it.
I always knew it. And he's, what the fuck?
I've got you.
Yeah, you did. What the fuck? Oh, that's so funny. This is a difficult decision. The second one feels most likely to me. The first one is my favorite. And the third one, the phrasing of it feels newsy. But they did say poop. Would they say poop? All of this hinges on whether or not a journalist at a local news station would write poop in a headline or not.
These are the real hot takes.
God, the suspense is killing me.
Dead air. Dead
know.
air. Dead air. Dead air. Dead.
I'm going to go with what I feel is the safe bet, which is option 2. B. Cat circus.
Cat circus.
Yes.
You're incorrect.
No. Oh my God, no.
You want a second guess?
It's the poop, isn't it?
The poop is the real one.
Okay. Do you know more about the poop?
Yes.
Can I please have more information on this poop?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the first time anyone's ever said that.
I'm not sure.
Why is it not opening the link?
Oh, God.
Anyway, I read it
Okay.
beforehand,
Yeah,
so
just
I
give me
can
the-
give you a breakdown.
Give
So
me the bullet points.
this occurred in India. It
Okay.
was a man and his cohort. They were robbers, but also it detailed some schemes they did when robbing wasn't available. Like they would throw oil on a car to distract a driver and then break in the car while the person was in there and steal their shit. It was some weird stuff. But
Okay, so
anyway,
robbery, carjacking, and
yes.
okay.
So he was being chased by the police after robbing something. And this is my favorite detail. To try to deter the police from trying to grab him and bring him in,
Yeah.
he reached into his own pants
Whoa.
and used his own feces. They use the word feces in the article, but they use the word poop in the headline.
That's a very interesting decision.
So I thought it was great because it means he probably literally shit himself out of fear and then was just using it to his own benefit.
Yeah, you know what? I'm wondering, was he so scared he pooped, or was it a purely rational decision?
Has he developed a defense mechanism of pooping on demand when you need to smear yourself in your own feces? And if that's the case, how often has he tried this? And how many times has it worked?
He had a poop lined up. Like, that's the thing. He had one in the chamber. So maybe he was ready.
I mean, exercising can shake it loose.
Right.
So if he was running,
That's true.
you know,
It just seems interesting
likely.
that the poop was readily available when he
readily
needed it.
available. He reached in his own trousers.
You know, it's I can see it. I mean, like,
It didn't work, by the way. The police
really?
still took him in.
Oh. I think
It's not the first time they've dealt with people covered in poop.
That's true. I
It happens.
I think that people end up, covered in a many number of disgusting bodily
Yes.
fluids and need to be restrained anyway.
Yes.
But it's a serious hazard. I'll tell you what. Gotta
You
give
don't
it
want to
up.
be touching other people's poop.
Gotta give it up to those police who are like, nope, my job is too important to let this poop get in between me and justice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Stumped you.
You did. I really can't believe that. Although now that I'm thinking about it, it makes perfect sense. I mean, I don't think it would work, but I'll keep it in mind if I'm ever having to evade capture.
I think that'll serve you well.
Okay. Well,
Well, that's the game.
I was going to say, let's just move on here. And that's going to be in my head for a while.
I really enjoyed writing these this morning, and the woman disguising herself as a love seat was my favorite.
How did you even think of that?
Okay, there were several things that inspired it.
Okay.
One was that we just watched Garden State, which I don't recommend watching
Me either.
today.
Me either.
Yeah, it doesn't hit the same. Anyway, there's a scene in that movie in which the main character's aunt has made him a shirt out of leftover fabric that his mom had used to decorate their bathroom.
Right.
And she insists he go try it on right away. So he goes into that particular bathroom and he tries it on. And there's a scene of him just leaning against the wall, blending into the wall like a chameleon because he's wearing a shirt, the same fabric.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my God, that's a really funny idea. And what if someone just wore the same fabric as a couch or something? And then
No, I
there
can
were a
see it.
couple other things that made me think of it too. I forget what the other one was.
Yeah.
But yes, my brain was just having a heyday.
I'm sure you've seen it, but I thought of that scene from It's Always Sunny in their Christmas special where Danny DeVito hides in the couch. Did you see that?
I think I have, and I think that was in my head, but I couldn't remember what it was from.
Yeah, he's hiding inside a couch, which clearly has the shape of a man in it.
Yes, yes,
he's
yes.
not hiding well.
Yes.
and they're like trying to get people to shit talk him so that he can be around to hear it. And then at some point, he just basically does like an Ace Ventura out of the back of the Rhino, where he rips the fabric out and crawls out completely naked and all greased up and slides off the couch to the horror of everyone at the Christmas party.
That's great.
I don't know if TV will ever top that, but okay.
I don't see how it could.
Good job stumping me.
I'm proud.
You're getting better at stumping me, I think. I don't think I've had a win in a little while, but I could be wrong.
I feel like you did a few episodes, like few of my turns ago.
Yeah. Well.
Anyway.
All right. Let's take a break, and we'll come back with something very spooky.
Spoopy.
We will be right back with a thing. Ooh. I wish I'd have caught that. The weirdest yawn ever. You almost threw like a me, 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 me.
All right.
Does anyone actually do that when they snore?
You do.
I don't go me, 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 me. No, there's no way I do. Wait, hold on. Are you messing with me?
Yes.
Okay, good. I was like, I cannot be a cartoon dwarf. Like, this is not going to work.
Oh, it's so easy to trick you into thinking I'm serious anymore.
Yeah. If you say it with enough sincerity, I will probably buy it the first time. But in my defense, my immediate
I do
second
not do that. Do I do that?
At least my immediate second reaction, though, is to be like, you have to be fucking with me.
Yeah.
Like, there's some built-in defense to this.
You know, it's always a possibility.
So, Spooptober.
Wait, are we actually back?
Yeah, we're back.
We were just talking about me's.
Yeah. That's all part of the podcast.
And we're back.
So let's talk about Spooptober.
All right.
Spooky times. Mm-hmm. We used to do like a weekly episode, so like we're not gonna have as much Spooptober content as I would like, probably. Mm-hmm. But I guess we could bleed it into Spoopvember if we want. It's totally up to us.
No, November has to be all about turkey and
Okay.
gluttony.
Sure. The food-centric November episodes.
We're going to eat on every episode. We're not doing that anymore.
We're never doing
I
that again.
promise. I won't do that again.
So for this episode, I wanted to talk about some stuff that really spooks me out personally. The kind of stuff that it's also fascinating, but definitely scary to me. And I want to talk about the human brain. And in particular, I want to talk about the human brain as a meat computer.
Okay.
Which is one way of looking at the way that our brain works.
Meat computer, spoop your pants off.
I don't know, it's creepy to me. Like I think it should freak us out all the time that we have a computer in our heads made of meat.
Yes. Well,
Would you
especially
agree or
if you
disagree?
word it that way. Agree.
Because that's what it is. It's doing like these crazy. It's doing computation. Even
No, this is you and I talk about this a lot about the fact that, like, you know, our brains make a lot of shortcuts because they are actually computing quite a lot of input at a time, and they have to find ways to process it so it doesn't take forever.
Right. It's just the brain is a really efficient for what it's doing. It's a very efficient meat machine. And I wanted to talk about for this episode the ways we can physically manipulate our brains, the way that the brain works a little bit on a physical level. Although I'm going to disclaimer this up front, like the way the brain works is a very obviously complicated subject. You know,
Yeah, there's not a consensus on a lot of things.
some things are like deep, deep mysteries that we may never figure out, although I would hope to think otherwise, you know. But like, I'm going to be talking about the brain at a kind of a high level. I don't know.
It's kind of a high level episode.
I mean, just in terms of like the physical function of the brain,
Anyway.
because I just cannot be an expert on this in like a couple of weeks' time. It's not possible. And I had less time than that.
A couple of weeks is
Right.
being very generous.
I've had a whole lifetime to be bad at this, to be honest.
Yes.
So I want to talk about, you know,
I will always be bad at having a brain.
I want to talk about the ways that we have messed with the brain essentially in the past and the future of what we might be able to do with our brains and what that might look like for what it means to be a human being. So just the mystery and terror of having a brain.
All right.
And like I said, I'm going to start at a high level here talking about how the brain works because they're like, you know, everything you can say about it as like kind of a layman is a huge generalization.
Yes.
So I want to start talking about what neurons are. You probably know a lot more about this than I do. With the science background, I just have a feeling like you understood this probably better than I did.
College was a long time ago. Let's see that.
Okay. So, well, anyway, if you find anything to set me straight on as I talk about this, please do, because I'm aware that I'm talking outside my expertise here, to say the least. So everyone, I think, knows that the neuron is like a cell that is like basically the core of like what the brain is doing. It's like the building block of how the brain computes things and does things, right?
Yeah, they're little individual processors.
And they're weird looking. I hadn't looked at a picture of a neuron in a long time.
Are they kind of spiky?
Yeah, so they have this base of them, which is called the soma. It's like the main component of the neuron. It's the main body of it. Mm-hmm. And it's got all these squigglies coming out of it. So you've got dendrites, which are like the inputs of the neuron, right? And they're like connected more or less directly to the soma, and they go all over the place. And there can be tons of these things. And they all are taking inputs from other neurons, essentially. And then you have off of the soma this big, long, you know, sort of spine, which is the axon or the body of the axon, right? It's like you could think of it as like if the electrical signal gets fired down a barrel, that's the axon. When it travels along that path, the electrical signals from the soma of the neuron, they go down to the end, which is the axon terminal, where you have the outputs of the neuron. So basically...
So inputs are the dendrites.
Yes.
Soma is the body of it. The axon is the, you know...
Yeah, the long body
the
of
communication device, the connector, and then there's the terminal end, which is the output.
Yes, and there's lots of those too. So like this is part of how like neurons are able to form such complicated networks is that they can connect to multiple, you know, other neurons or groups of neurons because they can facilitate so many connections. Also, the axon is like surrounded by this like myelin sheath, which we're starting to get like better pictures of and like recognize what it looks like. And it's like it helps insulate that signal as it travels.
Lots of like nerve conditions and issues like MS have to do with myelin sheath being affected.
Yes, which when you think about it makes a lot of sense because like the integrity of, you know, any signal, you know, is only as good as its ability to consistently get from start to finish, right?
Well, it's like if you have an electrical wire, like a plug for anything, and then you remove the sheath off of it, like the rubber coating off of it, and it's exposed and can potentially be damaged, it's more likely that the electrical signal isn't going to reliably get to where it needs to go because it's not being properly protected.
Yeah, and it's like bidirectional too, because that signal can like go the wrong way and be shorted out or something like that, or it can be like subject to interference from another signal outside of it and come into that cable. So, like in both directions, the integrity of the signal is dependent on good, you know, sheathing or protection. You know, this is like one of a couple of ways that neurons communicate with each other. Like it's electrical and it's chemical. I feel like I don't know how much of this stuff is just everyone knows it and how much is. So this is gonna, if someone's listening, like, duh, well then, congratulations, you're smart.
I don't know how much of it is either. I did take science classes and I did take lots of psych classes, and so it's kind of stuff that's discussed both places. And also, like, we're researchers, so a certain part of this is probably like, I've always been curious how the brain works too, but I don't know how many people actually.
Yeah, that's why I felt like it might be worth covering. It's just like, sure, a lot of us learned this a long time ago.
I think most people at the very least have asked the question on a lay level of like, oh, how's the brain fucking work? It's weird.
Yeah.
And then they usually get the answer of, there's a lot of things we don't know.
Yeah, right. And like, even this, like I said, is a simplification, but you have this thing of like neurons fire to other neurons, and that's one thing. But then you also have so where the axon terminal ends and another dendrite essentially bridges that gap. This gap between those two is the synapse, right? So it's that little space between one neuron and another neuron that it's communicating to. And those synapses have chemical activity happening between them all the time. So like different chemicals affect the way that a signal will be interpreted or received, or whether it will be passed through or not.
Would those be things like now like dopamine and stuff like that?
Yeah, I actually put like the one that I think most people are familiar with
Serotonin.
is serotonin. So, part of how many popular antidepressants work is that they keep serotonin from being taken back up into one side or the other of the synapse. So like serotonin goes out, it's in the synapse, it affects, the way that the signal is transmitted, and then sometimes it's taken back up into, one end or the other. So an SSRI will keep that saturation of serotonin high in there. And serotonin has
Guys, store-bought is fine if you can't make homemade.
What?
You've never heard that?
What were you talking about?
It's a reference to the Barefoot Contessa. It's something she says about like if she's making recipes and she does something homemade, like makes her own vanilla extract or something.
Right.
She'll say store-bought is fine if you can't make it from scratch. But people have taken this for things like mental health medications that help like serotonin production and stuff like that, saying if you don't have homemade neurotransmitters,
I see what you're saying,
store-bought is fine.
Well, so the thing is, and I could be wrong, what I understand about those medications is you're not taking serotonin.
Right.
But what you are taking is something that keeps serotonin saturated in those synapses. They call it selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. So they work on a selective level. And of course, that's probably more complicated than that too. But serotonin has an exciting effect on the neural connection. So it'll change in an increased way what signals are fired through or passed on.
I think it's part of the reason. So, like, if people are clinically depressed for reasons like this, the serotonin not doing what it should, not having enough or whatever, there's so many effects. And obviously, we know some of the things like what depression does, but also things like memory loss that you don't think about because you need serotonin to process signals, and it affects a lot of different things. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, like, we're talking about a chemical that has a sort of and again, this is complicated, but I think a overall stimulating effect on neural connections. And that can mean like all kinds of things, like it's not like stimulating in the sense of like a stimulant, like,
right.
It
encourages neural connections.
Yeah, it encourages brain activity, and the consequences of that are complex. So I think that's why you have to have a selective application of that, and why medications work for very specific reasons and all that.
And why they might work one way in one person and a different way in another person.
Yeah, that's another thing is like the brain is I mentioned this later, but like we all kind of have these like similar structures, and they're of different, size and effectiveness and all of that. Our brains are like, there's variance, but we have these big blocks that most of us have. But then on the really granular level of like what's happening in there, our brains are all wired.
Well,
very
so much of
individually.
like neural, like the connections that are made and the neurons that exist and all that is dependent on like so many factors.
Yeah.
Like nutrition and stuff from when you were a baby. And if you ever had a head injury and like so many things that like, even though we all have the same basic structures for the most part, mine are going to be on that very microscopic, like very specific level, very different than yours, because even if we had similar upbringings, I might have eaten different foods that did different things, like.
Yeah, right. You could have had encouraged development here or there at different times when it was critical for that to happen. And
so many little factors.
it should be no surprise to us how different people are as a result of how individually the brain develops.
Yeah. It's reminding me of our last episode when Kirsten was talking about, the factor of like not having social interaction at a very young age. And that affects development.
Yes.
Too. So there's so many different things that can affect people.
Yeah, because the brain it's not just influenced by its own path of development. External factors totally change, what happens and when. I'm going to leave a lot of stuff out, obviously, but like here's something I really want to focus on. Neurons do not fire at varying intensities, which is very interesting to me. Like a neuron can't take an input and go, oh, it's time to fire, and then do like a 25% kind of low level electrical signal. They either fire or don't based on a threshold of whether the stimulus is enough for it to fire.
Okay.
Part of that is influenced
So
by
it's like a light switch.
Yes, and actually more to my point here, it's binary.
Yeah.
Which freaks me out because, like that means physiologically on some level, our brain is doing ones and zeros. That should freak you all the fuck out because, and I guess it's really not, it speaks more to, how do I put this? I mean, we made a computer, we made binary, we made these, constructs of like information technology and all that. Based on, the brain obviously, how do I put this? It's not like we designed the machine. So of course it may, it's modeled after our understanding of the world.
Right.
And so it's not that freaky really. But it is cool that when we look into the brain, we see such a similarity with like our idea of computing.
Yeah. Well, it makes things like AI very fathomable.
Yeah.
Because it works the same way.
Yeah, you could say that there is something that arises out of basic on and off machinery. And that thing, in our case, is what we think of as our consciousness, as well as all of our physiological behavior and sensory inputs and,
Not to get you off topic, but there's so many studies done about this kind of thing. And one that I've heard of, it basically, the results indicated that your brain has often made a decision before you realize you've made a decision.
Yes.
And so there's a lot of implications for that. Things like free will.
Yeah.
Are you actually making the calls, or how is your brain making the calls if you're not aware of making the calls and it's already been done?
Yeah.
But it's still you because it's your brain, but you don't know you've done it.
Yeah, this gets into the philosophy of determinism and whether everything that we think we do independently is, the illusion that our brain gives us to justify to ourselves what it did.
Yeah. But yeah, that's just, that brings up even more questions.
It does. And it has like severe ethical implications.
Yeah. But it's one of the things about the brain that is scary to me.
Well,
and interesting, and does go back to that whole like binary computery type thing, because it's like, okay, a conclusion has been made. It was a 1 and not a 0, but why, like,
Yeah, right.
it just happened and you don't know why.
Stuff like that defies our questions of why.
Yeah.
You know, and
There's
gets
a
down
reason
to,
it happened, but we're not privy to the answer.
there are a lot of very scary implications of thinking about what it means to be like piloted around by a machine that might be making all of its decisions for us and then telling us we did it.
Yes.
That might be the spookiest part of this whole thing, actually. So I want to get a little bit from this 1 and 0 binary behavior into how this translates into the brain doing stuff. So now I'm getting even more vague in general, but I think it helps. So like if all of our thoughts and sensations and everything is generated through this very simple, stuff firing or not firing, the mechanism by which that happens, I kind of talked about, which is like, the axon fires and a signal comes down to the synapse. And then in the synapse, various factors help influence whether the receiving dendrite will take that signal and fire it. Right. Mm-hmm. These are all basically circuits of neurons. So you can think of all of these like connections as somewhat interconnected loops of processing, right? Mm-hmm. Because the dendrites can be so many and the axon terminal can have so many connections, there's lots of interdependent stuff happening.
Yeah.
So let's take an example and work our way up on what the brain is doing. I wanted to refer quickly to Ray Kurzweil's book, How to Create a Mind, which I admittedly did not finish, but I read it, a bunch of it a pretty long time ago. And the focus of his book is about more or less how we can use what our brain does to help us understand what an intelligence would look like if we made it by machine. Mm-hmm. I recommend it. I thought it was really, really interesting. I'm going to start at like a really low level of the hierarchy of the brain, because I think it's important to see that the brain is more than anything else a pattern recognition machine. Mm-hmm. And a series of like logic gates, very much like what we do when we program a computer. Mm-hmm. So I want to start with this example of okay, so like how does the brain read something? Like when your eyes are presented with letter forms, how do you get from that to like, reading and understanding what you're reading? At a certain level, it stops being so easy to understand. But so like I said, these are neural circuits and they have special purposes. So a single neuron by itself is, so low level that it's almost kind of absent any like real computational power, I guess. You know what I mean? But so like let's say that you're looking at a letter form, Mm-hmm. Visual information is coming in through the eyes and it's going to these optical recognition neural circuits, groups mm-hmm. of neurons that are designed just to do that. And so the brain has, maybe a circuitry dedicated to, okay, what does this shape have a curve over here? And that circuitry might only do that. Like a handful of neurons, not a handful, but, like a lot of neurons might be dedicated just to, does this thing have a curve around the top? Because I've trained it,
Right. I was going to say the first step, which we're not really getting into, is you have put in the effort of teaching your brain a language.
Yes,
teaching
exactly.
your brain to learn a visual language.
And, like we have to learn to read because we don't have these patterns to recognize.
Which means you're training the neurons of what to do.
Yes.
Like this is what this is. So some of you guys up there have to recognize if there's a curve here. Yeah. Some of you have to recognize if there's a straight line, mm-hmm. and in combination what that means.
Yes. Right. So then one group is just going, okay, is there like a curve around the top right? Yes or no, right? And if it fires yes, boom.
That binary thing.
That's a boom output.
So it's like, to give another visual representation of this that you can think of, it's like almost like a decision-making chart where it's like,
it's like a flow chart with yeses and nos.
Yes.
Kind
like
of.
So what should I eat today? Mm-hmm. Do you like Italian food? Yes. And then it goes to the next thing. Do you like this? No. And then it goes, it's like very fast problem solving tree.
Yeah. And that is a good point, is that this stuff happens incredibly fast. And so maybe there's like, say, 20 or 30 circuits, all that are making these very basic decisions or pattern validating to be like, okay, is this part of the shape here? Is this part of the shape here? Right. And when enough of those have said essentially yes in output, I mean, there's a higher level circuitry that has received enough positive inputs. In other words, it's that threshold I talked about. There's enough of a threshold, it crosses that threshold enough to say yes, fire yes on this. And essentially what your brain has done is subdivided out all the parts of a letter form and then confirmed by all of those what letter you're looking at.
This makes things like dyslexia very interesting, because I don't know exactly what the cause is. If it's the receptors not receiving the information the right way, or if it's not processing it the right way. But it's like someone's not doing their job quite correctly.
Yeah, and it's hard to say because, like, again,
I'm actually sure they probably have an idea of which it is. I just don't know because.
Right. But let's take a totally hypothetical, not dyslexia situation and just say, if your circuitry, is the threshold is not high enough for that certainty for your brain to fire off and say, I'm looking at the letter T, if you're getting that positive output without it being certain enough, that complicates the higher level processes that depend on it. So basically,
instead of being like, okay, you have a vertical line and you have a crosshatch line, and if the neurons in charge have said both of those exist, then that's a T. Yeah. That would be like regular functioning. But
yes,
if something happened with the neurons in charge and they're like, there's a vertical line, that's a T.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Like there are many ways for the brain to get this wrong, which is why it's so fascinating that we can train our brains to do this very complicated task. This is part of what I think they describe as neuroplasticity, which is like, what are the kinds of like things your brain is capable of being trained to do?
Yeah.
And it really does just blow my mind that we're able to like specialize and train these parts of our brain to do these specific tasks.
Now, think about the fact that not only can you do this for one language, you can do this for many, especially if you're a kid. So you can have all of these neurons having all these jobs to do of recognizing and reporting yes or no if this fits this parameter, but then do it for several different languages at the same time.
I'm not sure, but I would guess that this accounts for why it's so much harder to learn new languages later in life, is that there is a really formative period of brain development when you're younger where this stuff is very, very easy to do relatively.
Well, I also think like that plasticity thing is there's just way more of it when you're younger.
Well, you start to be pretty well formed at a certain point, Yeah. And it's not that you can't learn new things, but you're training well-wired circuitry. I think.
So teach your kids 5 languages.
Teach them while they can learn it. Anyway, that's a simple example of like, simple inputs building up to more complex inputs. You can take that from, I recognize a letter to I recognize a word. But then like when you start to get to, but like, how do I recognize a concept? Like how do I take this interpretation of a word and now I've tied it to like its abstract idea, which lives somewhere else in my head. And then the visual representation of that in my head, which, not everyone has. Not everyone can visualize stuff in their head.
I typically don't see things as pictures in my head.
But like if you try to, like
I can visualize things, but it's kind of hard for me to do.
There are people who like cannot call to memory what their spouse looks like.
Yeah. And there are people, like you said, the brain is a pattern recognition machine. There are people who have very poor pattern recognition in general. There are people who cannot recognize people by their faces. So whatever neurons are responsible for that specific pattern recognition, just they aren't able to do it. They weren't formed or whatever.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
Yes, it is.
Now, there's so many complicated things that have to happen at the same time for this to work, though.
And all of this, I think, is better explained when you realize, like I said, like every neuron can have, these hundreds of well, not every neuron, because some neurons only have like a couple of dendrites and that's it, but other more complicated neurons have hundreds, and so like the very complicated connections between areas of the brain facilitate this total experience of consciousness, right? Which is even more like consciousness itself is crazy complicated. I don't want to get too much into it because they don't know a lot about it, right? So anyway, now I moved on to that's great. How do we screw with it?
Before you do that, I have a personal question for you because I'm curious because I think it's fascinating.
Okay.
How does your brain work when you think things? Do you visualize it automatically? Do you like think in pictures or do you think in words or in sounds?
Okay, yeah. So I think that's actually kind of hard for me to answer. Because
I think it's also a combo.
Yeah, like
too,
it's not like I can generate in my head the experience of like listening to my own narrative voice or abstractly sort of like modeling objects or seeing objects. I can think in words, or I can think in I don't want to say vague concepts, but just sort of like
I think I mostly
unvoiced
think
language.
in ideas, like it's not like a visual distinct image.
Would you call it like an unvoiced language where it's like it doesn't have words, but it is
Kind of, though. If I'm reading, I hear it. If I'm reading silently, I hear it as my voice in my head.
right? Most people's voice, I think, in their head is their voice or something approximate to it.
Or like, I'm not literally hearing it, so it
Maybe it's not.
might not be, but it's not like it doesn't sound like anything. So I'm not like, well,
Yeah.
that's a different voice. I'm trying to say I don't hear voices. No. But I also like, I feel like I process things better if I've heard them. So like, say I'm trying to recall something like, oh, that person just read me a phone number that I've got to remember. I don't visualize the numbers when they tell it to me. I remember it as them verbally telling it to me. So if I need to remember it, I have to remember the sound of it.
Okay.
Or like
I will recite the number in my head.
Or like how
try and
many
keep it.
times did that thing happen? I have to basically listen in my head to how many times I heard something tap or whatever it was I'm trying to count.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. You're like basically tapping into the actual experience of it as like sort of reconstructed in your memory.
Yes.
So whatever that experience was, it's like you would have to think back to what something looked like or what it sounded like.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
I find this stuff interesting. It's not necessarily exactly what you're talking about right now, but
Well, but it's relevant because, like, now think about, like, how memory interfaces with senses and how often memory is a product of, like, how we sense something.
yes, and we're not even going to get in with how fragile memory actually is.
Which it is.
Yes.
But anyway, so yeah, how do we screw with the brain? I'm going to very briefly discuss something that I think is interesting and I think most people probably know about. But, the brain, because it uses electrical impulses and chemicals and stuff, there's lots of ways to mess with it. Like I said, SSRI drugs or whatever are one of the ways that we change maybe the threshold of how a neuron fires and then therefore change the behavior, that is generated by that. I read that they're finding that psilocybin, like mushrooms,
Magic mushroom.
has a huge effect on the brain's ability to promote healthy neural growth in the dendrites and facilitate
Like
growth of
positive
synapse.
effect?
Yeah. So essentially, it facilitates all this synapse and dendrite growth, which then results in better interconnectedness between areas of the brain, which is like, I don't know that that has anything to do with this, the sensory experience of being on mushrooms.
So feed your kids shrooms. I feel like it would have to do with that experience because, like, so.
But you're not necessarily growing neurons in real time, is my thing.
Yeah, but they learn things. They learn how to do things from stimulus, from input, and if there's an input for it, then something's got to adapt to be able to process it. So if you're giving it all this input. I would say if you do it like once, maybe not gonna.
Right. This, that's what I mean is I want to separate like the experience of mushrooms from like the fact that people do report like a certain kind of like a new sense of like the connectedness between people or, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And part of that may be facilitated by like the growth effect on neurons and the overall neural health that seems to be connected to it. I don't know. I just wanted to mention it because I think it's interesting. But I also wanted to mention, people probably know this, but when you poke the brain, weird stuff happens.
Yes. Yes, that is true.
Because of course it does. I don't know if you know this. I did not realize this. When they do brain surgery on someone, they will very often do it on them while they are awake.
Yes.
And they will have them do tasks and things while they do it.
Yes.
I saw a video today of a dude playing a guitar while they worked on his brain. So that
I didn't hear of that, but I do know they've done things like that.
Yeah, and I guess just because that's the best indicator they have of like, oh wait, we messed up. Back up.
Like you still have brain function.
Just because the brain is such a complex device that like there's no better measure of if it's working right than keeping you awake.
I don't know for sure, but I imagine if they're working on a specific part of the brain, they will have the person do a task that is related to that part of the brain. So then they know immediately, like, okay, we're working in this area. We know it usually has to do with a verbal language. Mm-hmm. So talk to us while we're doing this. And then if something goes weird, we'll know pretty soon that like something went bad.
That might be true. The guy they were working on in the video I saw was like undergoing brain surgery for like tremors, and he was playing a guitar while he did it.
Sense.
He was the whole point of him getting the surgery was so he could continue to play guitar, right? So there might be something to that actually. But I want to move on from that, even though that's really cool stuff. I think I remember that they call it the Broca's region.
Yeah.
Which is the French neuroscientist who like discovered that this specific area of the brain, people, were having issues with speech. It was connected to like pressure on this region of the left frontal region of the brain, whatever it is. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But and I think I feel like I remember reading, but I couldn't find any like evidence of it online, that like they would depress it with like a stick and you would watch people in real time be like, blah, blah, blah.
I feel like I remember learning about that in a psych class.
Yeah. It's so the point of mentioning this is just, okay, so we can push on the brain and we can screw with how the neurons are communicating with each other as a direct result of that. So what else can we do with it? Right? If we can just smush it and get weird behavior, like you push on this part of your brain and you just start giggling for no reason. Like,
I mean, but of course that works.
Of course it works. Because
neurons are cells.
Yes.
So if you're like compressing the tissue where the cells are, of course you're going to do something to the cells. And so
you may be closer bridging many, many synapses too. So you might be pushing them together, or you might be separating them by a certain distance, Yeah.
So you'll get like a response you might not normally get because it's like you're making neurons interact that normally wouldn't.
Yeah. I don't know exactly all the things that happen there, but like, of course, you're right. Of course it does. Any other piece of electronic equipment, if you mess with the way it connects to itself electronically.
The wiring.
Yeah. So I want to talk briefly about something that I always heard about and thought was super cool. And I take it with a grain of salt.
Okay.
Because it might be bullshit.
All right.
But this was an anecdote I heard years ago. You probably heard about this thing called the God helmet.
Does not sound familiar to me.
Really? Mm-hmm. All right. Well, like I said, this might be bullshit, but we're going to go here anyway. This was a it was a magnetically stimulating helmet. It was developed by Stanley Coren and Michael Persinger. Maybe Persinger. I'm going to say Persinger. And it was developed to test a few neuropsychological hypotheses about what you could do with the brain, right? It basically generated really weak magnetic fields, but directly onto the surface of the skull. Much weaker than you would experience in regular day-to-day life. I read, like if you're standing under a power line, you're getting more magnetic influence than you would get from this helmet. Mm-hmm. But it was the array of electromagnets and the complexity of the patterns that was supposed to generate the effect that it had. And those effects were all around the hypotheses that this guy had concerning the bicameral mind. Are you familiar with the term bicameral mind?
I know I've heard it, but I can't recall what it means.
So this is a sort of its initial genesis was a guy named Julian James hypothesized in 1976 that the brain initially developed as two minds.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And so you have what he hypothesized was the sort of like the narrative or like the boss brain, and then you had the actor or the one that obeys, right? And you have like these two minds that are acting a certain way with each other. And he hypothesized that when you have a breakdown in the division between the halves of the brain, which is like the corpus callosum is this big region that connects most of it. You know this stuff. Mm-hmm. This is more in your wheelhouse.
So if you can imagine a drawing of a brain right down the middle, there's like a large hunk of tissue, and that's the corpus callosum. Mm-hmm. And they have shown that they can basically cut a brain in half and it won't necessarily communicate with the other side of the brain, but those sides of the brain can still function independently.
Yeah. And his hypothesis was that they were always initially separate and they kind of merged at some point. Part of the interesting theory around that too is that there is some evidence to suggest that when the halves of the brain don't communicate particularly well, some people can experience auditory or visual hallucinations that appear to be coming from the external, but that are actually possibly generated in the other side of the brain.
Oh, that's interesting.
Very interesting. Has a lot of implications. Also, maybe helps us, it's not that there have been more people throughout history who have heard voices, but, all the big ones that are, in our holy books certainly seem to have happened a long time ago. And so, you might be able to extrapolate that, the brains were separate back then and you had a higher incidence of people receiving some kind of prophecy through their own head, whatever. Yeah. I don't necessarily buy all that. I think it's an
interesting idea, but there's no way to prove that.
Exactly.
And also, people can lie.
Yeah.
So there's no way to know that stories from very, very, very long time ago are even accurate.
Right. But the division between the brain halves and this bicameral mind it's super contentious. People don't agree necessarily on this hypothesis, but it was part of what, this helmet was designed for, right? They were basically trying to see if they could disrupt the connection between the halves of the brain and generate a sense of two selves.
Yeah, right.
And, Persinger believed that many paranormal phenomena were generated by that breakdown. So not just sort of hallucinations or people hearing or feeling two minds or whatever, but, ghosts and things like that. The kind of feelings people have that are beyond that feel external to them. Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that has anything to do. So you can hear. Have you ever heard someone call your name and no one called your name?
It happened one night. Do you remember? I was coming out of the bathroom. It was late at night, and I screamed and ran into the bedroom.
Yes, you did. And then later that night, not that long after, I heard someone say my name too.
Yeah.
And I know no one said my name. Mm-hmm. It was me in my head somewhere saying my name.
Right.
But it's not the first time that's happened to me. Sometimes you hear that, but that's an interesting idea of maybe where that comes from, and who knows if that's related or not, or something completely different. But that's a weird thing that your brain does sometimes.
Now that you mention it, like given all the stuff we just talked about how there's thresholds for the brain to fire signals and, acceptability thresholds before this is like a confirmed yes on this thing. And then, then this goes to here and here. Like it should not surprise us that every now and then we experience something we
Something's
cannot
weird.
explain.
Yeah.
That should happen with more regularity, you would almost think, except that the brain is, for all its flaws, pretty good at, for most of us anyway, giving us a consistent reality-based experience.
Yeah. I remember when I was younger, anytime I would have that experience of like hearing my name, I was religious when I was younger. And so immediately would be like, God, is it you?
Are you there, God? It's
But
me,
it was
Christy.
always just like my name and then nothing else. So it's like, well, I know my name. Thanks for that.
That's another thing, though. Like, the brain is so heavily trained for you to recognize your own name because it's
Right.
super important.
Yeah.
So, like, it makes sense that would be a thing that you would hear more than maybe any other kind of weird phenomena,
Yeah.
thinking you heard your own name.
Well, and it's also an experience you have really often.
Sure. Like
you-
hearing your
you
name?
Hear someone say your name all the time.
Right. So
So
then,
it makes sense that it's sometimes like your brain just repeats a pattern of neural firing that it hears. It happens a billion times
Yeah.
and does it sometimes.
I mean, like,
I don't know if that's how it works or not, but you know what I mean? Like it makes sense. It's a common experience for you.
yeah,
It makes sense for it to randomly
makes perfect sense.
happen.
I mean, I know we're doing a lot of speculating, but that makes sense to me.
Yeah. Anyway, carry on.
So I'm just going to very quickly touch on what I think is bullshit, which is that, so they tried to basically generate magnetic patterns in the brain that were reference patterns from brain scans. Do you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So like they would have some kind of experience of something recorded and they would take that magnetic pattern and they would try to generate that essentially interference pattern onto a brain.
So, like, okay, we did a brain scan and it looked like this. And so, if we magnetically
Induce that pattern.
induce that pattern, you
Yeah.
should be having this experience.
They also gathered like magnetic patterns, I think, from like I don't know if I fully understand it.
Geese.
I swear to God, I thought I read a tree, but that can't be right. I think it's all brain scans, but so basically, they had varying levels of success in the initial study. It's been mostly thrown out as a useful methodology because almost no one can replicate it.
Right.
Some people had the experience of like a haunting presence feeling, which I feel like I know that experience from nightmares. I like have a haunting presence nightmare like once a year.
Mm-hmm.
So multiple people reported full out of body experiences.
I mean, if I have oh God, what's it called? Sleep
Paralysis.
That's the closest I can imagine to haunting presence.
I get a terrible feeling of like a bigness that is looking at me. I don't know how to, but I can't see it. I can't hear it. I just feel it looking at me. It's very weird.
With sleep paralysis, I usually see something.
Yeah. And one time it was me.
One time it was you. That was
Saving you.
actually the only pleasant sleep paralysis experience. I don't know if we've talked about this
I think we have, but do it anyway.
because it makes you feel so good.
Yeah, it makes me a hero in your dream.
So usually when I have sleep paralysis, it's like for people who haven't had it, you're kind of usually just falling asleep or just waking up. And so you're not fully in a dream, you're not fully asleep, but your body still isn't awake. So your brain is doing stuff and you're awake enough to sometimes incorporate your physical surroundings into what you're essentially hallucinating.
Yeah.
So usually I see the room I'm in, but I usually see something else in it that's not actually in the room. So like a lot of people see kind of the same things, which I think is because usually you're sleeping in the dark and you see things like shadows and stuff like that. But I see something usually creepy and dark and nebulous in the corner of the room. Sometimes my brain takes that further and interprets it to be a person, and there's like a whole little dream around that. usually they're like coming to get me, or they're after me, or they're hovering over me, or something like that. And it's particularly scary because you can't move, and you can't, like, I know I try to yell a lot when it happens. You can't do it, and you eventually wake yourself up, but you're awake. Like, you feel like you're awake. You're aware of something going on. And a lot of times I'm aware it's not real.
Yeah.
Like, I know what is happening, but I can't stop it happening. So on one occasion, usually it's really scary and awful. On one occasion, this happened, but instead of everything being really dark and seeing something in the corner and that whole thing happening, it was like bathed in a white light. And the room was dark, but it was bathed in a white light, and it was you. And you were like, hey. I'm like, hey? You're like, you're having sleep paralysis. It's okay. And I was like, okay. And you were just like happy and nice and smiling. And then I like came out of it. I was like, okay, this is the nicest sleep paralysis I've ever had.
I'd like to show up like Gandalf in more people's dreams.
But yeah, you were just bathed in white light. And you just told me I was having sleep paralysis and that I was okay. And then I was okay. And then I woke up.
That's nice.
It was weird. It was nice, but I'm like, that is very strange. And it was like angelic.
Yeah.
It was so strange. It was really funny to me.
I feel like I have a booger. Do I have a booger?
Not that I can see, but there is a paper towel.
No, I'm just going to hide behind this right here. Okay. So, like I said, multiple people reported full out-of-body experiences. Others experienced almost nothing. Richard Dawkins put the thing on, and he was like, yeah, I kind of felt weird.
I feel like we've watched a video of this before.
If we have, I have not seen it. Or if we have, I don't remember it.
Okay, maybe it was something different, but I feel like I remember people putting a helmet on and talking about what they were experiencing.
The thing is, it hasn't been reproduced with any reliability. Only like one other study managed to find people like actually having this experience. And another study actually found that they put a dummy helmet on people and they had the same experiences.
Well, it's that thing of like, if you tell people what they're supposed to expect,
Sure.
then they're gonna.
Which calls into question, the initial study. What did people know about?
Right. That's why in any study, knowing if it's like a double blind study or a single blind or like who knew what is a very important parameter to know.
Right. So I only mentioned it because it's something I heard about a long time ago, and I always kind of thought it was true. I was a little bit let down to find it might not actually be the case, but
it's an interesting idea that I definitely don't buy.
the fact that you can't reproduce it with magnets is, whatever, fine. But the really interesting part is the underlying question of like how the bicameral mind may have formed and how the mind exists now and what the separate halves are doing and all of that. That's cool. I have one more thing, and and we have to talk about it because we're talking about brains and computers. Unfortunately, we have to rope in everyone's favorite Bond supervillain, Elon Musk, to talk about the future of interfacing with the brain.
Okay.
Elon Musk described it as, the sort of technologies that they're working with over at Neuralink as saying the neurons are like wiring and he says you kind of need an electronic thing to solve an electronic problem. I think that's actually kind of a fair assessment on some level. You don't need electronics to solve the brain, but it's one of two of the big ways that the brain communicates with itself. Between chemistry and electronics, the brain is doing like kind of two things. So I wanted to talk about Neuralink, not because I necessarily think they're doing a better job than anybody else. They're doing some really interesting stuff. Mm-hmm. They're not the only ones doing it.
They're just the most well-known.
They're well-known. They managed to carry over some of that rock star power from, sort of
Old Muskie.
No one calls me that or has ever called me that.
Should we explain what that is?
It's the Onion article. No one calls me that or has ever called me that. Our interview with Old Muskie. It's such a funny title. But anyway, yeah, like there's lots and lots and lots of other people who have been and are working with brain implant technology, stimulating the brain with electrodes, things like that for years and years. But where I think Neuralink gets a lot of credit is they have applied that kind of, they have started to envision what the normalization of brain interface technology could look like in the future. And that's a huge step for continuing the development of this stuff and maybe making it approachable to people. Mm-hmm. When you think about, people, putting electrodes in the brain, you probably picture something relatively scary, or at least I think I do. I mean, like I've seen images in the past of just like someone's got a braided cable going up their head and then it just sticks into the middle of their brain at some point, which is invasive and scary, and not all, brain, electrode type technology looks like that. But it's kind of like the picture you have in your head, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's the sci-fi treatment, that we've seen renditions of over and over again. So
I think that Neuralink gets credit for trying to rebrand this kind of technology and also make it seem, like approachable,
It's marketing. It's all about marketing.
It
if
is.
you just make the electrodes like fluffy and cute and name them things,
right?
It's fine.
Well, okay, I don't know what.
That's not what they. I have no idea what they actually do.
I don't know what you would picture when you imagine a brain implant. That's. I don't know what most people picture, but let me lay out what the Neuralink device actually looks like.
You want to know what I picture?
What?
A little metal Tic Tac.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It just like sticks.
The Tic Tac shape is just like somewhere in your brain,
like a pill.
Tic Tac. Yeah.
It's bigger than that, but it's less invasive than that.
Let me keep my Tic Tac.
Okay, you keep your Tic Tac. I'll tell you what Elon Musk is up to.
Okay.
So the Neuralink device that they're working with right now looks like, a coin cell battery?
Yeah.
Kind of looks something like that. So what they do is they have this coin cell shaped thing. It has a battery built in. It has, I believe, wireless signal, in and out of it, right? And it has a magnetic base.
What's the password for your brain's wireless signal?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
All right.
Got it. Hack a brain. Yeah, see,
it's all zeros at first, and then you have to reprogram it.
So yeah, like the device is disc shaped, and it has a magnetic base, and that magnetic base has connectors, little like pad connectors, right? And basically, it goes directly onto a similarly coin shaped implant that sits right along, like flush with your skull. Mm-hmm. So you take this little coin and you hold it up to your head, and it just kind of magnets on there, and it sits right on top of the base of the skull.
Okay.
Now, what's happening on the inside of that connector is really, really interesting. So you have all of these very, very narrow, I think it was like 4 micrometer. No, that can't be. I can't remember the exact measurement, but very, very small electrode wires that come from that base unit and go into the brain matter. Really, really thin, thinner than human hair, very, very small. And those all, kind of disperse inside the skull. And there can be a lot of them too. I'm trying to remember. I think I wrote it down. You can have like thousands of them.
I still dislike this.
Fair enough. But the idea behind it is that they're installed by a machine. You're going to really hate this. So that's
not making me feel better.
They're implanted by what is essentially like a neural wire sewing machine. I knew you were going to hate that. But it might be better than what a person could ever do, because it's got a very, very, very small needle. It's able to implant the wires specifically to avoid vasculature in the brain.
Okay.
so that it doesn't cause bleeding. The brain is already without, senses, so or without, physical sense, like, nerve endings.
Yeah.
So a person doesn't feel it, and it can implant, thousands of these things. And then they all basically are synced up to the Neuralink device, which has, I can't remember how many thousand, like about 1,050 some channels, we'll call it.
I can barely get Bluetooth to work correctly on my phone, and you're telling me they're syncing up 1,000 wires that they've used a machine to implant into my brain.
Yeah. And they do, and what they are able to then generate with
Technology.
this, I'm just gonna like put my notes away because I don't even need them anymore. So all of those wires are synced up to channels. Those channels get represented on a virtual graph, essentially like a real time graph. And whenever they sense nearby neural circuits firing, because they can't get so precise that they can see what a neuron is doing, but they can find what a group of neurons are doing.
Okay.
And they can sense which ones are firing and when. And then by doing that, they can start to map what might be happening.
Okay.
So the live demo they did in July was the first time anyone's seen this thing. And what they did was they brought out 3 pigs, 3 happy looking little pigs in front of a room full of journalists. And they're walking around. They all got little metal disc on their head, and the main pig of the demo is going around sniffing stuff, and every time this pig boops its snoot on something, you get a sound out of this. So they've mapped it to a sound too. So the graph is showing in real time all these neurons firing, but you can identify from the neurons that
they're processing physical sensation
in a specific region of its body.
Okay.
So by training the machine to the actual activity of the brain, they can start to identify it doing stuff and what that stuff is. And then furthermore, they were able to use that to model. So they had a pig on a treadmill, right? The pig's walking on a treadmill. It's got a Neuralink in, and they first measure where the pig's limbs are versus what's going on in the brain activity. And after enough of that, then they can go, okay, now let's not look at the camera. Can we model where the pig's limbs are just based on its brain activity? And they found they could. So they could know, based on what's happening in the brain, the position of the pig's body.
Okay. So they link first what they're observing the pig doing.
Yeah.
Then with what they're seeing the Neuralink is reporting. And then they're able to use it predictively after that because it's so accurate.
That's another thing is you have to train it. You still have to train it with information because, no one knows what exactly is going on in any of those parts of the brain that the electrodes have just landed at. You have to do lots of things.
Like, okay, I'm going to give it this stimulus, and okay, when it reacts to that, it looks like that. So, all right, that's what these particular nerves are doing in this area. So that's what these specific links are picking up on.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, but it's a really interesting way of being able to look at a lot of brain activity in real time, which I think is pretty cool. The sewing machine thing, I know it probably would freak most people out, but I think it's really impressive that this friendly looking robot can just install these little wires into your brain. And for that matter, that you can then later remove this thing with no damage to your brain. That's the promise anyway. God knows what's actually going to happen in practice.
Yeah.
But they have limited authority now to start testing this on people. And the implications are big. I mean, so the long goal of this is to give people a way to use their brains to interface with other things.
Okay, I'm just going to say this.
Let's hear it.
I don't want anyone to know how my brain works better than I do or before I do.
Fair. Yeah, no, I get that. I mean, that's really what's spooky about this. And
Because if you know that well how my brain works, you can manipulate me without me even knowing it.
very good point. Well, yes. I want to make a distinction, though. Like, what we can do now is read stuff from the brain. Like, we can read that things are firing. And maybe even if they, for a while. So, like, here's an example.
Also, I can't lie to you if you know.
What your brain looks like when it's lying.
Right.
That's true. I mean, the thing is, getting inside the brain is the ultimate polygraph.
I was going to say, it's more accurate than a polygraph.
Yeah. Now, here's the other thing, though. You might have to train a machine on many, many, many truths and lies before it could recognize a truth or a lie in someone.
Yeah.
But can you then generalize that, like algorithmically, and say, okay, we're pretty sure that most people's brains do these sequence of things when they're lying.
You still get into dicey stuff like people whose brains work differently, people who don't have the same reactions to telling a lie versus telling a truth.
Sure.
And people who lie so much that it might as well be the same thing.
Yeah.
So
People who have no physiological response to lying.
yeah.
But
Or people who are technically not telling the truth but believe it.
right.
So it might as well be the truth because they think it's the truth.
So for me, the question is, can we do those things? Like, can we ever get to a point where we can say with reliability that someone is lying based on a generalized, maybe algorithmic, sort of like trained model on what people do when they're telling the truth and lying?
I don't know that it would ever get to the point that we can feasibly use it to replace a polygraph because of all the effort and work it would take, because you have to train it to the individual.
Well, but what if you didn't have to, is my question. What if we could find, is it possible for us to find some general thing that doesn't apply to a specific person? Like, there's a bigger question in all this, which is how well can we broadly like understand how everyone's mind works based on modeling one or a few or hundreds or thousands of people? And then what does that mean for the last truly private space that exists?
Yeah.
Which is the inside of your head.
I think where it's interesting to me, like the answers I would want, is we talk a lot about how everyone's brain is so different. So it would just be interesting to me to actually have numbers on like, okay, well, how different are they really?
Sure, we won't know
like
this.
we say that they're different, but like how different is it?
It will be sometime, I think, before we have any real idea.
Right. And what I'm saying is if you get the answer to that question, then that's your answer. That's the jumping off point for, is there a way to generalize this?
Yeah.
But to first know or understand a little bit more about like why and how much we're actually different is fascinating.
Yeah.
But it's scary.
It is scary. I think there's like such a legitimate privacy fear. See? You see?
Also, like, people, and legitimately so, fear things like, DNA tests, genetic testing that goes into like a database, for privacy reasons.
Yeah.
So imagine this is even more like, let me tell you exactly how my brain works, and then you know that.
It's interesting because you can have anonymity and end up not having privacy. Your brain's information can be used to index how brains work and form a system that invades your privacy. There's legitimate ethical questions about this. But like, here's the real thing.
I forget there's a sci-fi screenplay a brewing in my head with this.
I think the real question is, are you going to give up your privacy to have a hands-free phone that you don't have to touch to manipulate? Because that's what's really going to happen. Is there's going to be a point where technology will have a recreational purpose and will be well developed enough that people will be like, oh, great, I can hop on my Peloton and swipe through the menu without touching anything, just using my brain. I'll take that.
I want to say no, but I don't think that's fair.
Yeah.
I want to say that I would say no, right? But I don't think that's fair because I think we've already said yes to a lot of things we didn't think we'd say to.
This is where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, we say yes to a contract every time we sign up for like a phone or a new app without even reading it.
Yeah. We don't even read it. It's like South Park brilliantly.
The South Park episode.
Human Sentai Pad kind of nailed that one down.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I want to quickly say that there's short-term goals for this technology. There are real, practical, helpful applications for deep brain electrode stimulation that they already use for, like, Parkinson's. Mm-hmm. They're exploring, and finding some evidence that there's some use with like, electrode stimulation for OCD, depression, Alzheimer's. There are more uses for this technology. And if you can get that, from essentially a small disc on your head that isn't, some big piece of lab equipment, you can live your life normally.
I mean, we already have similar-ish devices for hearing and things.
Right. Exactly. I mean, like wearable technologies exist for a bunch of different things, and this could prove really helpful to a lot. I mean, imagine it's somewhat, I saw it described as a pacemaker for the brain.
Yeah, that's what I started thinking about. It's like, okay, we have things like pacemakers.
Right. Imagine if you had essentially a pacemaker for your brain that could stop you from being depressed. What would you not give to not have to worry about that kind of thing?
Well, I feel like who this would be most tempting for is like the people who've tried every medication,
which are many people,
right? And many combinations of medications, and still,
because
it's not it's not a perfect solution if it's helping at all.
I think the reason for that is that, and this is something I wrote in my notes and just remembered, we attack the brain's problems with a blunt tool. Because we can't do much better. But if we're talking about targeting areas of the brain very, very tiny, specifically, and doing it, with electricity, not like changing the neuron's decision-making protocol, but changing the neuron.
The stimulus. Yeah.
Like not like, oh, we'll up the threshold or lower the threshold for this behavior. No, like we know by hitting this with electricity, we stimulate a process that is therapeutic.
Yeah.
It's the right tool
it's
for
like TENS pain management therapy for your brain. Do you know what TENS is?
No.
TENS is like electric impulses, but low grade ish. But you can buy a machine at Walgreens and you put it on your back and you
just make your muscles jump.
Yeah, but it's supposed to help with pain.
Okay.
If you put them in, certain areas that are like close to where you're having pain, some people have a good response to them that prevents them from having to maybe take as many pain medications and things like that. It's one of the things that people have looked into as an alternative in pain management therapies. Okay. So that's what I think. It's like a TENS unit for your brain.
It sort of is, but like that's just the thing is it's on the right scale. Because like all this shit in the brain happens at such a small scale that we're only now really being able to like listen and target these very specific areas. So like it just strikes me that, of course, so many other approaches for dealing with the brain haven't worked for people because we're essentially bathing the brain in stuff that we hope is targeted narrowly enough to just create our desired effect and not create ill effects.
Right, and everything has side effects.
Yeah.
And there's lots of reasons why it works the way it works. But one is that whole, like, everyone's brain is different. We don't know how it's going to react. Yeah. And we're also reacting after the fact to the effects that we can see and that people report they're feeling. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of interpretation to that that's subjective that the person is feeling, and that's important because especially for stuff like depression, like, that's the important part. Mm-hmm. But then you also have all the side effects. So you're just, like you said, it's a blunt tool. We're like, hey, take this medication and then after the fact, we've just thrown some chemicals into the mix and we're hoping that it does something.
Yeah.
Then based on what you tell us you're feeling, we're going to decide if that's good or if we need to add more chemicals or change the chemicals, or it's such an like not good science, but it's the only way we have.
There's inaccuracies and inefficiencies at every possible step.
Yeah.
From the manufacturer of a drug itself to our ability to know even the right questions to ask.
Then you have to trust that the drug you're putting in you consistently is the drug that you're supposed to be putting in you, because you have to trust manufacturers.
Yeah, there's that
too. There's like so many factors down the line for things to work for you.
The thought of working directly on the brain at the brain's level has so much promise to me. But unfortunately, right now, it might mean a sewing machine stabs you in the head 1,000 times.
But I do see the potential for that.
Yeah.
For that specific cause alone.
Yeah.
I do also see a future where it's bastardized and used for things like you said.
Short term and long term. The vision will change. As this thing becomes normalized, its applications will open. And everyone's going to want a piece of your brain. And they'll be able to probably have it with your consent in a 40-page document you don't read.
This is scary.
It didn't sound so spooky at the beginning, did it? But now you're pretty spooked out.
Mm-hmm. I'm spooped and duped.
Happy Halloween, everyone.
It's the jingle jangle of a Leroy Jenkins.
No, it's a spooky ghost. It's the ghost of Braden.
Oh no, it's actually
future.
Boba.
Yeah, it's Bo. Yeah. Anyway, that's all I got, and we kind of went a little long here.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, but I'm
we
really
only do this
hungry.
every couple weeks. Me too. Let's go eat some Italian sausage.
I gotta go to the store,
all right.
and then I gotta grill it.
I'm gonna eat like 10 Reese's cups first.
Thank you for listening, though. The brain scares me and delights me, and thank you for having the patience to listen to this.
Should.
We will be back.
Thanks for listening to us pretend like we know anything about the brain.
Yeah. Oh boy, I can't disclaimer it enough. Like this is the real broad layman's cursory.
Don't call me a broad.
Listen, you lady, you.
Female.
It's weird. As soon as you said "don't call me broad," I was about to be like, "Listen here, broad," and I'm like, "That? Ooh, I don't like it." She just said, "Don't do that." Anyway, we will be back in a couple of weeks with the scariest, spoopiest episode, just in time for a
Hold
little
on to your
early
butts.
Yeah, hold on to your butts for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But don't poop in your hands unless you're being chased by the police.
Maybe not even then.
Or maybe not even then. We'll be back. Thanks for listening. We will see you next time with another episode of Goose Chase.
Goose Chase.
Have a spoopy couple of weeks. Bye.
Bye. You've been listening to Goose Chase. We are Goose Chase Podcast on Facebook and Twitter. On Twitter, our handle is @GooseChasePod. And our website is www.goosechasepodcast.com.
If you have any topics you'd like us to research, please email us at goosechasepodcast@gmail.com. If you like what we do on the show, please rate and review us on iTunes and Google Play.
Want to go on a goose chase?
Ooh, yes.